I think the biggest surprise probably is the variety of ways this team has been able to win.
Man, crazy, right? It is crazy. It's a bye. Here we are, 6-0. Unbelievable stuff. Couple minutes here with our friend Merrill Reese here. 6-0, Merrill. Can you believe it, man? Unbelievable stuff. Let's see if we can pull him up here. Merrill, 6-0.
Hi. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, I expected this to be a good team, but if you would ask me if this team would be 6-0, I would have said very unlikely.
What's been the biggest surprise for you so far?
I think the biggest surprise probably is the variety of ways this team has been able to win. I mean, the fact that they've been able to take leads and build upon them and then rescue the game late in the game. The fact that they've come from behind the way they did 14 points behind against Jacksonville and scored 29 points. The fact that they've been able to be productive with long, grinded out games at the end, like they did against Dallas with a 7-minute drive, the way they did in Arizona with a 6-minute drive. They've just done so many things. But probably the biggest thing of all, Dan, is as I think about it, last year at the end of the season, they were even in turnovers. They have given up as many balls as they had taken away. This year, they are at the top of the league, and not just by a sliver. They are plus 12 in the turnovers department, and the closest teams to them are plus 4. So here they are, amazing in that category. 9 interceptions.
You know, Merrill, I'll tell you my observations in the first week of the NFL covering the entire league, and most notably, obviously, the Eagles, and looking at what the Eagles have compared to the rest of the league. Merrill, I know scoring is down about 8 points now for the first time in a long time. And I'll say this to you. I have never in my life seen more bad offensive line play than I have this year. And it is not just with the guys the Eagles play. It's a league issue. I think this has a lot to do with the collective bargaining agreement. It takes longer to develop offensive linemen. This shows you the value of what the Eagles have. They got 7 guys on that team. Jack Driscoll, Merrill, he's not Jordan Mailata, but I'll tell you what, Michael Parsons didn't get a sack. He may have given up some pressures. Now you get Andre Dillard back. The value of this team and what Howie has done, that offensive line is the gold standard in the league right now. And I think that's got to be one of the reasons that this team is the alpha dog in every game that they play. Do you agree?
Oh, I do. Did you hear what Jordan Mailata did the other night? Of course, I had to hear about it afterwards because I'm on the air. But when television went for the starting lineups and they have the players give their name and what school they went to, and of course, Jordan Mailata came over from Australia, and he goes, Jordan Mailata, Stoutland University. Well, Stoutland University is a reference to Jeff Stoutland, who might be one of the best, not one of the best, might be the best offensive line coach in the NFL.
All right, I'll ask you the question. Merrill, you think going into the bye week now that the organization is looking at Jalen Hurts and he's the leader of this football team for the next 7 years?
Boy, I sure hope so, because I think he's that good. And not only is he that good, he keeps getting better. He has poise, he has leadership, he has all the physical tools, the arm, the athleticism. He's really special. And I've liked him. As you know this, Dan, we've talked about this for 2 years now. And I told you that I was confident that this is the guy. And there were people saying, well, he only has modest arm talent. Modest. I don't know what they were talking about. What he needed was the experience, the chance to really grow. And the biggest thing you see in Jalen Hurts now is the decision-making, the ability to read the field, go in the right direction, the when to give up on a play and throw the ball away rather than throw it into a crowd and say a prayer. He's just grown so much as a quarterback, and he's still just going on 24 years old.
You know, sometimes, Merrill, and I know you've seen this a bunch of times, a quarterback can put up empty calorie stats and put up 350 yards in passing. You know, it's funny. When I watched him against the Cowboys, I thought he threw for 300 yards because they were impactful 155. You know what I mean, Merrill? I mean, every pass had an objective on moving the chains or in a sequence of the series that they're not empty calorie yards. So everything that he's doing is going in sequence with him running. I wouldn't like to see him running 15 times in a game. To me, I think you got to get a little bit more balance and protecting him a bit. But Merrill, his numbers and everything, like you said, they're doing. I said this, and you tell me if you agree. I don't think he can be quantified as an elite guy like the Josh Burrow or like the Josh Allens or the Mahomes. However, I do think this. He's the most unique quarterback in the NFL, and he's got the most unique offense in the NFL, which makes it a complete nightmare on game planning against. He's one of, Merrill, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I think he's impossible to game plan.
Yeah, I think he's very, very tough because he can beat you. As I said, he can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. And you talked about the way this team loaded up on talent. There was no bigger move than acquiring A.J. Brown. I mean, the fact that you give him A.J. Brown to supplement what Devonta Smith can do, this team doesn't have a number one receiver. They have two number one receivers. They are unique. They are great receivers.
Is Nick Sirianni the lead right now for NFL Coach of the Year, in your opinion?
At the moment, I mean, who else is 6-0? So at the moment, absolutely. And I think Jalen Hurts has to be in the conversation for MVP at this point. But you know what? We say this, and we're already giving out the awards and talking about the All-Pros. Dan, I warn my friends, I warn our listeners, they've played 6 games. And as a wise man, or I don't know, maybe a wise woman once said, 6 games does not a season make. You know, last year, Arizona got off to a 7-0 start and then lost 6 of their last 10 games. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not looking at things with a doomsday approach. I'm only saying that you have to take it, as Nick says, 1 week at a time. They're 6-0. Enjoy the bye. Come back and make it 7-0. But once you start thinking ahead and saying, boy, can this team win 14 games? Then you're going to get in trouble. Or we can do it, but they can't. They have to just say, we're playing well. Let's get better. That's what Nick says the coaches are doing this week. They're looking and they're evaluating and they're going back and looking at what they did, and they're looking at what they like to do better. You've got to improve every single week. He says every day. He said, let's win this practice. And that's the way they're taking it.
2 last questions. And by the way, my wife says after 6 years of marriage, when now we're on 33, hey, 6 years doesn't make a marriage. So 6 games doesn't make an NFL. 6 games doesn't make an NFL season. I don't ask my wife this question any longer.
Cindy and I are on 43.
Hey, get this, Merrill. My wife, I go to my wife now and I go, do you love me? She goes, I'm not answering that after 33 years. So 2 last questions for you here. You know, Shane Steichen's record is 15-4 since the 2-5 start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we talk about Jonathan Gannon all the time. Merrill, since he's taken the play calling duties over, he's 15-4. That's quite remarkable. Maybe not the credit has been given enough to him and what he's done by customizing that offense that you're talking about.
Well, he deserves a lot of credit, but also I'll give you another stat similar to that. Jalen Hurts has now won 12 of his last 14 starts.
Wow. That's incredible. Since that 2-5 start, and if you want to go regular season, I think he's 11-1. If you're looking at regular season, I mean, Merrill.
No, I think that was regular season, 12 or 14.
Okay. Hey, final question for you. We could talk about the quarterback position being the most important position on the field, and it is. But do you agree that Lane Johnson is the most important Eagle on the field? And I say this, and there was something in the press conference the other day, and I saw this on the website for WIP, and I was like, why didn't you continue to move the chains? Why didn't you try to get in the scoring position? And in a half, he goes, you know, we just lost Lane Johnson to a concussion, and I wanted to get in, and we just lost Lane. I wanted to settle things. And I was like, wow, the importance of that guy, Merrill. I think Kelsey's in that conversation too. I do. But I would say that just shows you that Nick is looking to those two guys as the true leaders of the team. And I'm saying Jalen's growing into all that, but boy, Lane, his importance is huge, isn't it, to the success of this team?
It really, really is. I mean, he hasn't given up a sack in more than 2 years. But the other guy, I'm going to throw somebody else in there, Dan. And I'm going to tell you that other person who is one of the most important is Darius Slay, because he has set the tone for this defense. He is such a great leader. He makes everybody else better. And then you add this year James Bradbury, and you have a couple of great corners. And then if you want to put the slot guy in there, Avonte Maddox, he's terrific too.
Well, you deserve a break, and I know this. How about this? The voice of reason is Merrill Reese going, 6 games. We look good. Everything's great. Calm down. Let's see if we run through the tape. That's why we come to experience, and we come to you, Merrill, because there's a lot of great things going on. And right now, by the way, the Phillies are up too, and they're doing a job right now too. So can you remember a time in Philadelphia sports when it was like this, when you had the Eagles as hot as they were, and also the Phillies? 1980?
1980. But don't forget, I've been around a long time, so I remember as a kid going into the last 2 weeks of the baseball season, and the Phillies had a 6.5 game lead with 10 games to play and blew it.
Wait, oh my God, what year was that?
1964.
Oh, so that was it had to be a Robin Robbins year.
No. It was much after Robin Roberts, but it was a year when things were going so well. It was the years where they had Jim Bunning and Chris Short and Dennis Bennett. They had that whole group, and Richie Allen was on that team. But they blew a 6.5 game lead with 10 games to play. So that's why, if I seem to be a little bit of a cynic, we all lived and died through that time.
This is Dick Allen baseball. He signed it for me when he was alive. And Walt Palm was my favorite baseball player growing up. The guy who would smoke the cigarettes, write crap in the first baseline, talking to Philly fans and Philadelphia sports fans. Man, that guy was quite a character.
He was a great man, and I'm sorry that he didn't get into the Hall of Fame before he passed away this past year, but he is so deserving of a spot in the Baseball Hall of Fame. When he hit a ball, it left the park faster than any ball I've ever seen. Unless you want to talk about Kyle Schwarber last night, where it was the one of the hardest hit balls ever.
I've been to that ball 150 times because I covered the Padres in San Diego, and I got to tell you, the marine layer holds the baseballs down in that park. Merrill, I've never seen a ball hit harder or further in my life. Merrill, I got to let you roll. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, my friend, as always. Thank you.
See you, Dan.